Hello friends, Koolio here, and welcome back to the channel. Today guys, I want to bring you a beginner's guide video for team building in DISLYTE. So if you guys enjoyed today's video and want to see more videos like this, then make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. So over the last couple of days, I've been like non-stop playing DISLYTE. I've been having a ton of fun and been really enjoying the team building aspects behind the game. And I figured since the global launch of the game is like 2 weeks away, that a lot of people jumping in for the very first time are going to need help building their very first team in the game. And so in today's video, what I want to do is actually break down a couple of tips and tricks on how to build your very first team and a couple of hero recommendations here or there, as well as kind of go through the Esper team setup that I currently have. So the first thing I actually want to talk about is the different roles of the Espers in the game. Now, if you didn't know, there are actually 4 main roles in the game. The first one are tank-based characters. So Donar here is a tank-based character. Now, just because someone is within a specific type of category, like Donar here is a tank-based character, doesn't mean they solely focus on just defense or aggroing or anything like that. A lot of the characters have very unique abilities. They're just kind of categorized within a general sense of their playstyle. So you have the tank-based characters. Next up, you have support-based characters. The next one we have is disablers. These are ones that have a lot of like control effects. All right, so think of like that, like crowd control abilities, like if you've ever played like an MMO and things like that. And then the final one are DPS-based characters. So when you're going through and you're building your very first team, you kind of want to have a broad, how do I put this? A broad setup of the type of team that you want. You want to make sure you have a support character that's healing your units. You want to have a character in your team that's doing a decent amount of damage. If you're going to be going into PvP, you want characters that have crowd control or disablers and things like that. So I'm going to actually kind of show you the team that I currently have set up, as well as a couple of tips on how to build your team and whether or not certain Espers kind of work together. Now, when you're going through and you're looking at the different Espers that you have, one of the best ways to kind of decide if you want to use an Esper is actually going over to the strategy button, and then you'll be able to go see the reviews of everyone that's used that character on their specific team. You can even go and take a look at the type of build that that person is currently using that character for. You can take a look at the basic information, such as like how they're supposed to be played, as well as a couple of recommendations on relic sets that you can do. You can even go take a look at the performance of that specific character within certain types of teams. So for example, this is SS tier for Ritual, Miracle, Chronos, and Fafnir. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that this character is an SS tier character for that stage. It just means overall that character has done very good within this specific team setup for this specific stage. So it gives you kind of a broad idea of how that character is doing within that specific style of gameplay. You can even click on the characters and take a look at the setups that they have, as well as the other Espers that they have on their team, to continue to give you kind of an idea of the setups that other people are doing. So I really like that. It's a really fantastic way, if you don't really know too much about the characters, is to kind of go through and see what other people are using that character for, what kind of stages they're participating in, and whether or not that character has done fairly well within that stage. And so the first character I actually have on my team, and the one that I maxed out first, and my first recommendation for people jumping in the game as their first character that they should max out, is Mona. Now the main reason why I decided to max out Mona is it takes a lot of time and a lot of resources to max out a character, but if you have a character that deals a lot of AoE damage, she can or he can actually really help with the practice stages. Now, if you guys saw my previous video where I kind of talked about progression in the game, there are these practice stages that you can participate in. These practice stages are specifically built to help you level your characters up as fast as possible. And so the reason why I recommend maxing out Mona first is there's going to be a lot of enemies and a lot of stages to go through. And if you have a character on your team that does high AoE damage, it'll help you get through those stages much faster, allowing you to get more experience in a shorter amount of time, allowing you to level up your Espers quickly and more efficiently. And so Mona, I think, is one of the best Espers in the game to max out first, to help you max out the rest of your characters. It'll just make things significantly easier for you. Almost every single one of her abilities is an AoE ability. Attacks all enemies 4 times, deals damage equal to 70% of attack to all enemies. Even this one, if it kills an enemy, she gets an additional attack. So if you have 4 weak enemies on the enemy team, she kills one of them, she just goes down the line, boom, 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 kills all 4 of them, super quick, super easy, a fantastic character to start off with, and it'll make it just so much easier for you guys to max out the other characters on your team. As well, she actually has the highest base attack for any epic Esper. There's a couple of legendary Espers that do have higher attack damage. I think maybe 2 or 3 have higher base attack damage than she does. But in terms of epic Espers, she has the highest one. So I have Mona on my team specifically for story, as well as going through and leveling up my other Espers through the practice stage. The next one I want to talk about is Clara. Now I did a video the other day where I did some summoning, and it wasn't anything too special to write about. However, literally like an hour later, I decided to do a couple more summonings, and I got Clara, and she is amazing. She's probably my favorite hands down Esper in the game. First of all, she's gorgeous, she's beautiful, and she has some amazing abilities. Now, I specifically have her on my team for 2 reasons. One, she's a fantastic healer, so I've got a support character on my team that heals up my units, also grants shield abilities on top of that. And 2, she also helps with action points, which is super, super useful when you're going through and doing PvP. So if we actually go ahead and talk about her different abilities, boosts team-wide action points by 20% and recovers 28% max HP. Again, such an amazing ability. As well as, like, there's a couple of other characters that are really good healers, but let's say they go to heal like 5,000 health and the unit only has like 1,000 that they need to get to max, that you're basically wasting 4,000, healing points, 4,000 HP healed. She doesn't do that because of her passive ability. Removes 2 debuffs when granting healing efficacy to any ally and grants immunity for 1 extra turn if the target has no debuffs. At the same time, 120% of overflow healing is converted into a shield. It's huge. This is such a massive ability. And I have her speed incredibly high, and the reason why I have it so high is because she gets to go first, heal up my team, and even though all my team members are at max health, it basically grants them like a 5,000 health point shield right at the start of battle. It's so good, it's amazing. And so I've got my AoE attack damager for story, and I've got my healing character as a support character for both going through story and trials, as well as PvP. Now, the next one that I have is Tang Zhuang. Now, Tang Zhuang is a character that I've been enjoying him, but I feel like I might end up replacing him. Now, he does a lot of AoE abilities and a lot of stacked debuffs and stuff on the enemy, which can be really good for both PvP as well as PvE. But he doesn't nearly do as much damage as Mona does, and I'm still kind of deciding whether I want to swap him in for something else. But because of how much he how much debuffs and stuff he affects, as well as a fairly decent amount of AoE damage, I have him as sort of a secondary DPS character on my team to kind of help eliminate enemies that Mona doesn't take down. And he's also fairly decent with PvP. And if we even go take a look at his strategy and the different performances that he has so far, he's been doing really, really good. Like, he's triple S tier in PvP, again, because of those debuffs. Now, the team I have set up is not specifically for Point War, for PvP, but again, those debuffs can be really, really big on him. But as you can see, he kind of drops off for other different areas. He may not be the best for like the story and trials and stuff, but overall, like, he's a good unit for the debuffing abilities. Even though he's a DPS character, those debuffs and stuff can be very, very useful. Now, another reason why I actually have on my team is the Captain ability. Increases ally attack by 30%. Another huge ability when you're going through story and where you're grinding out characters, when you're trying to like level up your other characters and stuff. So that's the main reason why I have him on my team. Secondary DPS, he's got debuffs to help with PvP, and then his Captain ability overall is just a really, really good ability to use basically anywhere in the game. Now, the next character I have on my team is Barto. Now, Barton's actually a basic rare character, but I think he has like, he's maybe 5th in line for like the highest amount of defense in the game, but that's not the reason why I actually have him on my team. The main reason why I have him on my team is him for my tank character compared to any other tank character in the game is because he actually has a AoE defense up. So deals damage equal to an enemy equal to 250% of attack and grants defense up to all allied Espers. I believe there's only one other Esper in the game that actually has that ability. And so that's the main reason why I have him on my team. He was easy to level up, easy to max out, easy to get the cooldown reduction on his ultimate ability. And just increasing his speed overall at the beginning of the game and stuff is pretty good. As soon as like a battle starts, he uses his ultimate ability, defense up for my entire team. So I do use him as a tank. He's got some pretty decent defense points as well. He can take a hit, he can taunt, but I really, really like that support ability for all of my team members. And so as a tank, I'm using him as a tank as well as a support character. Now, the final character is actually one I'm currently maxing out right now, and one I just added to my team, which is Jean. She is a disabler, and she is a fantastic hero for both PvP as well as like basic trial stages. If we actually go take a look at her strategy, go take a look at her performance. She's got SS tier for Point War, and she's got some okay ranking for Sonic and Ritual Miracle. Now, there are better units out there. I will agree there are better units out there and stuff, but she was so easy to max out because she's not that hard of a character to summon, and she basically has a stun on almost every single, actually she does. She has a stun on every single one of her abilities, and so if you increase her overall speed, which is what I've done, plus 36 of speed, which I can continue to build that up and stuff. You can see even with the relics, I'm not even very, I could probably continue to work on her relic set, but she's got the speed enhancement. She's also got enhancement to accuracy. But yeah, she just does so much stunning, and it's really, really good in PvP, but it also helps out in like the story missions and stuff. So she's the disabler I have on my team. Now, there are other units I might end up swapping her out for that also have really high stun abilities, or maybe even bleed effects and stuff like that. I might swap her in for, because there's some pretty decent, fairly easy to get espers at the beginning of the game if you're going to be pushing towards PvP. But I found that the fact that almost every single one of her attacks will deal some kind of stun, and even she can even attack multiple enemies at once with a good chance at stunning them. She's just, I think, a pretty dang good Esper to have at the start of the game. So that's the kind of setup that I have going. I've got my AoE damager, I've got my healer, I've also got a secondary DPS with a decent captain ability, I've got my tank character, and then I've got my disabler on my team. Now, a couple of recommendations that I have, I'm kind of moving around and kind of deciding whether or not I want to swap things out, is I've got another character on my team that has a fairly decent high DPS character, and that's Chloe. She has the second highest DPS out of the epic characters, but she's just so freaking good at PvP, because not only does she deal like a fairly okay amount of damage, she doesn't even go above 100%, I believe, for like any of her other abilities, but the thing is that she steals buffs, and the more buffs that she has, the more damage she does. So she's just so good at PvP, ripping buffs off of enemies, making it so they can't be buffed afterwards. She's just fantastic when it comes to PvP. Even if we go look at the performance, Ritual, Sonic Miracle, Ritual Miracle. So she's decent when it comes to like those, but I'm telling you guys right now, she's gonna be so freaking good at PvP. So there you guys go. That's kind of my team building guide, following just the basics. You know, you want damage dealers, you want supports, disablers. That's what you want to do when you're kind of going through, but you also want to make sure that you're taking a look at their abilities and making sure their abilities work effectively together. To give you kind of an example of what I mean, one of the very first characters you get is Brynn, and she has a fantastic ability. Her secondary ability grants an attack up buff to all allied espers for 2 turns. So basically, if you max out her speed, have her go first, give your entire team a increase to their overall attack, and then having a character like Mona go afterwards is an extremely powerful synergy between the two characters. Now, the reason why I ended up getting rid of her on my team is I was actually building her a little bit wrong. She's a support character, but she also can deal a decent amount of AoE damage, because deals damage to an enemy equal to 280% of attack with a freeze and defense down. The thing is I already had a decent amount of attack characters on my team, and I didn't necessarily need her for that DPS, and she doesn't have the highest base attack in the game. It's actually pretty low. There are other characters in the game that can do a lot better single target damage than she can. There you guys go. That's kind of my beginner's guide to building your very first team. If this is helpful, if you guys enjoy these videos, I'd really appreciate it if you guys could leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more DISLYTE videos coming in the future. Well, friends, my name's Koolio, and I'll see you next time.